reality is,
Right.
And then I fix it. And I don't dictate to her that she needs to do or believe things the way I say, listen, there's a reason why that may not be true.
Right.
And here is the alternative explanation, and you can come to your own conclusion, but don't think that because it says it in your textbook or because your teacher tells you that it's so, that this is absolute fact. Because it may be fact coming out of them, but maybe not always. And then here are the alternatives.
Correct. So my wife, who does the homeschooling, is high school educated on the left coast from Los Angeles. And
so she's got the triple whammy.
She's an amazing person because of her ability to learn the right thing regardless of what people tell her.
It takes an independent mind and independent thoughts. You got to be able to say, you gotta have that kind of a mind that can look at both sides independently and start weighing the pros and cons of each, and then you can, if you're smart enough, you can say, I could see why this is better than that.
Right.
And that's how you go from being completely lost in the propaganda of the left over to the righteousness and success of conservatism.
So when we decided that she was going to stay at home and homeschool our kids. And when we went down that route, we said, okay, this is what we're going to do and this is how we're going to do it. She said, okay, I'm going to look at all the programs that are out there. And there's some ladies at church that do this with their kids. So I'll talk to them and see what they're doing. After about a month or so, she said, I think I've got the answer. It's called K-12. I said, oh, okay, sure. What's that all about? The state of Ohio has a homeschooling curriculum for you.
Right. The K-12 thing?
K-12.
Yeah.
The state of Ohio, and this, I'm not tinfoil hatting this. This is, if you unraveled all this, I guarantee you that this is why they've done it. But they saw the enormous amount of families homeschooling.
Or at least wanting to homeschool.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think you even said that this is the largest amount of kids being schooled at home than since before government education.
Oh, absolutely. I am 100% convinced of that because when we were kids, I think I heard a rumor once that somebody somewhere was being homeschooled, but that was never verified.
Right. And we were always told, they keep him in the closet.
Yeah,
it's down.
We know.
They're down. It's like, it's like Silence of the Lambs.
It would have been such big news to find out that a friend somewhere or somebody that lived in the area was being homeschooled. It would have been probably nothing else we would have talked about except for how that person doesn't have to go to school.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
we would have loved it, but there was this cloud around it that those kids they're special.
They don't get to play in sports.
They don't get sports and the interaction, the social. They have no social interaction at all. They can't.
Yeah.
They can't.
They don't even get sun.
No, they don't. They turn out looking like either Edward Scissorhands or that other one that was bald and shot lightning out. What was that?
What? I have no idea.
Yeah, he had like lightning out of his. He had to wear glasses all the time.
I have no idea. Raiden from Mortal Kombat. I have no idea.
So, anyway, so Ohio provides this homeschooling package. So we looked into it. I've got 2 kids. We got all the supplies 100% free. I'm talking about huge boxes.
So it's like a public version of homeschooling.
Correct. Huge boxes from UPS delivered at our door. Brand new computers, desktop computers, 2 of them. They also were paying for my internet. If I submitted my internet bill, they paid like 25% of it. And so all these perks, and it went on and on. I'm like, this is amazing. And then when tax time came around, I could take off on my taxes for her staying home as a teacher.
Oh, that's amazing.
And it just, the snowball kept going. And then all of a sudden one day, and this was early on, within the first few weeks, my wife called me at work. just bawling her eyes out.
Crying?
Saying, I can't do this.
Oh, really?
I can't do this. This is taking us 9 hours a day, and we are not even finishing it. I just can't do it. I said, well, call them, because she had a local teacher to contact for help. So she called her, and it's, oh, you don't have to do all that.
So she was doing too much.
Well, but that's what they told her to do. And this teacher said, no, just don't. Here, just do this and that. Like she got the inside scoop.
Okay.
So my initial knee-jerk reaction is the government says, oh, you want to homeschool? Here it is.
Oh, they're trying to shock you into not doing it.
Ding dong. Here it is right on your doorstep. And the majority of people would never go through that. I wouldn't go through it. Literally, the program was math, reading, writing,
calculus,
writing, history, and sociology.
Okay.
I was like, what? Kindergarten? This is kindergarten.
Social justice classes?
Yes, and then that's where they got the book.
Oh, yeah, we had a whole episode about this. You'll have to go back into the archives to find that one.
It's called The Drinking Gourd.
I thought you were going to talk about the El Norte, or was that the
that is
that's
the
story?
That's the story. And the story, kindergarten children were taught that slaves ran away from the South to the North to freedom across Lake Erie into Canada.
And I'm not saying that there weren't some slaves.
38,000 went to Canada. And that percentage of free slaves that came to the North is somewhere around 2%.
So
I did the math on that.
Okay. So 2% of the slaves that went north from the South during the time of the end part of slavery, where there's the Underground Railroad and all that kind of stuff, was 2%.
Yeah.
But the book made it sound like that's where they all had to go because America is so evil that you must get out. And if you're here now, you need to spend your entire life trying to escape.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's that bad. That's the message you're sending to kids. But
right.
Anyway,
okay, so
that's Common Core for you, by the way.
Yeah. Okay, so just to wrap this whole idea up, my wife found out after a year of all this nonsense, we gave all the stuff back. We said, we're out of it. We don't want nothing to do with it. And they were teaching Common Core. They were pushing Common Core on us. We're out of it. We want nothing to do with it. We're going 100% traditional homeschooling. And there's something called Robinson Curriculum out there. And it was a single man with 6 kids. And he developed all this on his own.
So it's a private version.
He was a mathematician and a very just...
mathematician?
Mathematician. And so he developed the system in the 60s.
Wow.
Which all 6 of his kids were just phenomenal. He said, number one, you got to get them to read as early and as fast and as often as possible. Because reading is number one. Once they can read, then get them to do math. Once they do math, then they can teach themselves.
Wow.
That's about it.
Wow.
Seriously.
And put them out on the field.
So that's true. So now we're in a situation now to where we're connected with people that are doing a similar thing. And the social part of it, obviously there's a whole lot of homeschoolers now. And my wife connects
first of all, you go to church.
And it's huge with all these kids.
You're going to have a social thing going on when you're going to church, and if they're involved in any kind of sports or any extracurricular activities, they're going to have plenty of friends that they're going to become close friends with, just like you would see in school. And then also you have
in the state of
just
Ohio,
going to the playground at that young age.
In the state of Ohio, we are, as homeschoolers, allowed to enter into whatever school we want to
yeah,
play
we'll learn about that. Like, your kids are only 8.
When it comes
in the future, we're going to find out just how hard it is to enter into a school's sports team,
right?
Based being a homeschooled kid.
Right.
Be interesting to find out how difficult that is.
So my daughter at 8 is reading a book in front of my mom, and my mom is, I can see it in her face. I don't know if she was or not, but I can see it in her face. The large words this 8-year-old was reading coherently and cohesively, reading this book, and she's beside herself because of the large words she's able to use. Her interaction with adults she interacts very well with adults. Why? We talk to our kids all the time. They get a lot of social interaction with us. And then because I have two daughters real close to each other, they interact with each other and then the boy. So I'm telling you, my whole experiment has been wildly successful so far.
No, that sounds awesome.
I got no beefs about it. But back to de Blasio and this whole thing, this sound clip I do have of him talking about Hillary Clinton. And this is what he had to say about her to F. Chuck Todd. Which one? Sometime today. Is that the clip?
I believe that if Bernie Sanders wasn't running, that Hillary Clinton would be speaking as much about income inequality the way she is now?
I think Hillary has a long history that speaks to these very same issues.
Oh, she's got a long history, all right.
As I mentioned, Children's Defense Fund, taking
but
on the health
Bernie
insurance
Sanders
companies.
moved her in a way that actually makes you happier as a progressive?
I think Bernie Sanders has contributed a lot to the national discussion. There's no two ways about that. And I think he deserves a lot of respect for raising important issues. But you also have to say, look at Hillary Clinton's platform from day one. She came out very strong. First major speech she gave was on addressing and ending mass incarceration and major criminal justice reforms. And she went speech by speech, plank by plank in her platform. With a platform, bluntly, Chuck, it would be the most progressive of any president walking in the door of the White House in a generation. And that is very consistent with what she's devoted her life to. So, I think Bernie Sanders has done something good in this national debate, but I think Hillary Clinton's the person who can actually achieve these changes.
Hey, I can't argue with him about Bernie Sanders' ability to achieve anything. I don't even think he cleans up his own apartment or whatever he lives in, because there had been reports that he's just a disheveled mess.
Well, they said he earned his first paycheck at 45.
I think it was his first real paying job came when he was like 40. Before that, he was living at home or something. Yes. His parents were like, "What?" Actually, the report was that his parents stated that they didn't think that he was going to amount to anything.
Wow!
Yeah, his parents said that about
So
him.
he hitched his wagon to the Communist Party and said, "I'll do what you want me to do."
He didn't have a wagon. He was actually hitchhiking.
Right.
He hitchhiked with the Communist Party.
There was a meme that was put out there. It said a Democrat, a socialist, and a communist walk into a bar, and then down at the bottom it says, "Who pays the bill?"
Yikes. Everybody in the bar except for them?
Correct.
You all chip in.
So then Bill then went on to say this about Hillary and what we, as the people, need to know about Hillary.
I can't wait to
Are
hear.
you for her now, unequivocally, or do you want to wait to see if she takes your advice on moving to a more progressive agenda?
I think like a lot of people in this country, I want to see a vision. And again, that would be true of candidates on all levels. It's time to see a clear, bold vision for progressive economic change.
You're technically not yet endorsing her.
No, not until I see, and I would say this about any candidate, till I see an actual vision of where they want to go. I think she's a tremendous public servant. I think she is one of the most qualified people to ever run for this office. And by the way, thoroughly vetted. We can say that. But we need to see the substance.
All right. Do you want to see her get a tough primary?
I think, again, what's happening now almost synthesizes some of the reality of the primary. Clearly, what's happening in the progressive wing of the Democratic Party is a demand for our candidates to come forward with a vision. That's creating some of the same positive pressure you see in the primary process. She doesn't need to be vetted. I think we can safely say that. But I think she has to address the issues, and that can be done with or without a primary.
When you say going on there,
yeah, she's been in public life. She was the first lady for 8 years.
She doesn't need to be vetted.
But it's interesting because he didn't ask if she needed to be vetted.
And he said it twice.
Yeah, he was not asked that. And
back
he just
to
said
back.
It. Yeah, he just said it. Is that a code for meaning that Bernie needs to be vetted? Is that what that means?
Maybe so.
It's a call to go vet Bernie. Let's vet him.
Or any other person running for office.
So possibly somebody on the Republican side. Well, let's vet Cruz for a second here.
Speaking of that vetting, we didn't talk about what you pulled up on the Google about Cruz. We can shift gears here.
Yeah, let's shift gears. So what was the actual thing that I typed in there? I typed in... Okay.